Welcome to the Noel Show with Stephanie. Stupid KW. Look, right here.
Let's move them.
Keller Williams.
There you go.
You're not going to knock them?
Don't
knock them.
Can we stack them? Sorry, I'm distracted. All right.
I love that.
Try not to hit that.
I love stacking.
Okay, there we go. Hi.
Stacking. My son was supposed to send me some peptide. Stacker.
Oh, for
as a matter of fact, yeah.
for bulking up?
Well, just he said it's like joint stuff, but I'm so leery.
I'm waiting to
I'm
hear.
so leery of putting anything into this.
Well, there's so many.
This body of mine, this temple.
There's so many supplements and stuff that I can't keep track.
There's so many.
So what's up?
So I thought today we would talk about improvisation. Ooh, the flower. Did you ever watch? I could never get into that show. Did you ever watch that show with the four guys?
Yes. Whose line is it anyway?
Whose line is it anyway?
It's hysterical. Sorry, I left you hanging.
Every time. You always leave me hanging. No, it's like every time I put it on, I don't know.
I think that show's awesome.
I mean, I would watch and think, oh, I could do that. Like, I mean, it would take, it would take some, I think it takes some preparation.
100%.
But then at the same time, you just
But did
you just make it up.
You did actually try stand-up comedy without writing jokes, right?
Oh
man.
I still try to do comedy without writing jokes in New York. At that, I went to an amateur show, and I got up, totally winged it.
Oh, that makes me so uncomfortable.
God, Julie, which street were we?
Did people laugh?
I'm trying to think.
Or did they just stare at you uncomfortably?
Oh, God. Well, again, when I got there, we got there probably a couple hours early, and the guy asked me, he's like, you're prepared? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, good luck with that. But all I remember him saying, and all I remember was when the red, you're going to go on this side of the club. And it's funny because it was, the seating was set up like this, to where the stage was here,
right,
and the seats were like a big triangle, and it was packed. I couldn't even believe. I was so beside myself. But I think in my mind, because I have such stage fright, I just thought, I'm just gonna get. I just gotta get over.
Nightmare.
I gotta just get over getting up and just making a complete fool of myself.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
The only thing that could make that worse is if you had been naked.
And I might as well.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
I can't even imagine a worse thing.
Because I got up there, and I can sort of remember what I was saying. I mean, I just talked about my experience, like coming into New York, and I said something about like this is what it must be like to be in China, and I did a terribly racist imitation of a Chinese person, which is terrible. I didn't know what to do. But again, he said, you've got 5 minutes.
Oh my,
5 minutes. And he said, when the red light goes on, then you're done. So I was so focused on that red light. I was just like, come on. And I'm just
that must have been the longest 5 minutes of your life. I remember I went to the Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip with my husband.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of comedians that were so bad. It was like crickets the whole time. It was crickets.
Yeah.
And I've never been more uncomfortable for another human being in my life.
Right. The cringe. I know.
Just everything. They tell a joke and then just stare at everybody. And everybody just stare back at them.
Well, hasn't that become, become a death search or doom scroll, whatever it's called. I mean,
brutal.
My son, I think, was telling me, he just loves the cringe videos watching.
Well, that's what people do, right? We like to see.
We like to watch each
other.
Well,
I guess it's because it's human experience more often than that. I mean, I feel. Well, I mean, it's also, what is it, like fails, and it's just people like falling and,
Right. Oh, see, I love that.
Hitting, and where you go, yeah.
Well, and I can only watch so much of that in reality.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was looking at something this morning and I was just like, ooh, and then there are some where you're just like, okay, that's enough. I can't even. I can't even watch this anymore.
No.
So anyway,
so here we are.
Whose line is it anyway?
Improvisation.
Improvisation.
And we're talking about improvisation in real estate.
And how this applies, well, just how this applies in our everyday lives.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was curious, like, and it doesn't have to be real estate, but if you had,
well, it's just actually,
if you had, because I had a situation just this morning,
right,
that I just was going to quickly share. But did you have?
Well, it's interesting that that's what you brought up, because when I was in the other office, I had it was a buyer case study class, and we ended up just talking to a newer agent. There were myself and another seasoned agent talking to this newer agent. We were just sort of talking about how creative and improvisational you actually have to be sometimes to make deals happen, and very often the client doesn't know. And then when you brought that up, I was thinking that really is one of the, I saw again today that there's a guy that sold his house entirely on his own using ChatGPT, and he had multiple offers and all this stuff, and it's being a lot, don't need agents. Well, apparently the subtext is that there are a bunch of legal terrible things, and he wished he used an agent. I got to find out the truth of all that. But that being said, what I realized about, we talked about this last time, I think in AI and things like that, is we have to know, you can't improvise if you don't prepare.
Hallelujah. That's good. I like that.
You can't.
That's right. That's right.
Like, it's you going and trying to do stand-up in New York without even, I can't imagine anything worse.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That being said,
well, that was my improvisation, was to keep talking.
Right, but we can't improvise and think up creative ways to make things happen for our people unless we think about it before it happens, and unless we practice and we learn from other people.
That's right. Yeah.
So, just to make deals happen, I've never watched any of the real estate shows like Selling Sunset or any of those things. So I don't know how
briefly. I've put it on briefly.
I don't know how we're portrayed, but I do know that I think that the job is much different than the general public realizes, and how very often we have to use our skills and experience and the help of other people and brainstorming and, coming up with solutions that is the only way that a contract gets from A to B, period. And a lot of it's creative improvisation on figuring it out.
Well, and that to me is what improvisation is. It's problem solving all day, hands down. Because we're all a mess, and we're all trying. We're all trying to get along and to figure out and again and in this business get a deal done. And you can't really control another person. You have to really work with what you've got, and something new can happen. I mean, we have a deal right now where something's changed, and we're improvising, like you said, on what we do know and what we can control. And ultimately, and at the end of the day, you really never know if a deal is going to go through.
Not
until it goes through.
Until it's done.
Until the key is in
the other person's hand.
100%. And that to me is what I love about this business and what I hate about this business.
And I think that's why, so many people that do it do love it, because it's so different every time, and it is horrible and wonderful.
Right.
Because it's so stressful. My last closing, we had so many, seriously?
What is it now? Yeah.
And we finally closed, and, I stood out in the parking lot with my sellers, and it was as if we'd all just been through a, bomb raid. Because we were so exhausted, we couldn't believe it actually was happening. It actually happened.
Right.
Like it was just
a hurricane evacuation.
It was just and fighting, fighting like left and right, and
we live
all these things and figuring it out. And the other agent was super cool.
So many people can be involved.
We strategized, and we had to, we suddenly, the house wasn't in in a flood zone that required insurance, and then it turned out like there's a sliver on the lot, so then it needed flood insurance,
Right.
which changed all the payment structure, which meant that we had to move money around in concessions to make it work. And then, you know, it was just a lot of cooperation to get from A to B, and improvisation, because, you know, you also have to follow the laws of the way that monies can be distributed, and the path of everything, and it's all got to be above board. And, you know, I've never written more amendments in my life.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
But we got it done.
Julie's my little transaction coordinator. She's a
Holy
little
smokes.
amendment. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
An amendment goddess
Yeah.
for sure. Well, good. Well, I thought we too would talk about real estate news. I don't know. I think most people are probably aware, keeping up. Ish.
Probably not.
So basically, in the news just a few days ago, Gary Keller announced a partnership, if you will, a cooperation with Zillow and their new Zillow preview.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that? Is that good?
I think it's good.
For
I
business?
think that it has to be done, because if you look at it, when we had a meeting with it about it last week, compared to other search engines, Zillow is probably quadruple the viewing, right?
Well,
and most people, I mean, if you
it's
think about
250 million views a month,
right, and
which is
most I know
crazy.
from my, like, especially my sellers will always say, hey, I saw my house on Zillow,
Right.
you know, or we were having issues with some agents in our office where they want their listing to be showing up as a lease and a sale, and there's stuff with that. So Zillow rules the roost in the view of consumers.
Yes, indeed.
And
That's right.
Gary Keller realized that we have to play nice in the big sandbox. And since we do have more agents than any other one brokerage, I mean,
Right.
Compass is huge,
That's right.
but it's also a conglomeration
they've-
of a lot.
and they-
They've partnered with Redfin.
I was going to say,
believe.
I think Zillow.
Compass,
I read that Zillow and Compass just couldn't get a deal
right.
done.
So
yeah.
so what's
where
cool about
where
it?
Remax and Keller Williams were like, okay, we
Right,
like
and
the
what's
terms.
cool about it is
Yeah.
that the deal is that we can preview a listing on Zillow, and while it is being previewed, we are the agent of record. Because what's very
So this,
what's
and that's what I thought too. It's good for listing.
But what's
agents, for
super
sure.
confusing about Zillow for the general public, for all of us, and I know even before I became an agent, I didn't realize that when I looked up a piece of property on a search and I went to contact an agent, it wasn't the person who had listed the property.
That's right.
It's
Who knew
whoever,
anything about the property.
No, it's whoever's first to the ball, right?
Well, whoever's paying for those zip codes.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's one of the most confusing,
Yeah.
misleading things.
Yes.
Is that you're not actually, if you see a house you love and you want to get more information, you're not getting in touch with the person who listed it.
The house my sister lives in right now, this is exactly,
It's so confusing.
She absolutely was like, yeah.
If you preview with them, because of our laws in Louisiana,
Right.
you can say coming soon for 24 hours.
Right.
You can't say coming soon for
Exactly.
36 hours.
That's right.
You can't say coming soon for 25 hours. It's a 24-hour window. So that means that you are going to have that preview window for 24 hours. But during that time, if it's 123 Main Street listed by Noel Dominguez, you're going to be the little person that shows up on there with our logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be much more, it's a direct line to you.
right.
And there's no
Much
reason.
more obvious, much more,
Right.
yeah.
And it gives you a chance to, market your listing for your sellers, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what they want, right? They want us to get
Exactly.
their listing out into the world so that more people can see it than not.
And of course that makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
Even though ultimately what sells a house is just really three things. It's location, condition, and price. So yeah, all the marketing in the world, it's like, yeah, okay. Do you have it
Well,
priced right? Is it
that's
in
true.
a location that I even want to be in?
No,
Number
I did
one,
I did
the condition. We're already, a lot of us are very focused on listings. It's less work. It's less hassle. I don't have to show any properties. So I think a lot of listing agents, there's going to, there's going to be a real,
Well, just-
a real battle, a real war with getting that listing, because ultimately, and I've talked to agents directly who have said to me, looked me in the eye and said, like, I've done more dual agency deals than anybody in this office, or I'm a dual agency expert,
But
or
you
whatever.
can't. But every state doesn't have dual agency. And
Well,
a lot
Louisiana
of people,
very definitely does.
Yeah, but I did
and that's
it.
why I think it could hurt, because again, if I call,
Well, obviously,
if I
it's
call
gonna-
this
it's gonna be-
agent and they say,
If the listing-
hey, do you have an agent? Like, don't worry about
Yeah.
that. I can take care. I mean, 'cause
No.
I've talked to friends that were in that situation.
100%.
That the agent convinced them to just let them.
100%.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it saves
Do the dual
ultimately
deal.
it saves the consumer money. But the fact is that there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that it's not going to be an issue. It just depends on the
Yeah.
the person and the listing, I guess.
That's right. Okay, gotta go.
Gotta go.
There it is.
Go.
Go.
Go. Bye, everybody.
I love it.
Are you done?